Hey, this is Matt from InvestiQuant. Today is Friday, April 24th, 2020, and I'm going to do a follow-up to my video from this morning and show you a slightly different variation of the same pattern pushed out later into the day. So the pattern that we looked at this morning was based off of gapping up in the prior day range after a weak close. And how this has kind of evolved throughout the day is yesterday had that very weak close on the lows. We gapped up this morning. We pushed down towards the gap, but we didn't quite fill it. And we've kind of just been consolidating, very quiet market this morning and into the early afternoon so far. And we've got an inside day pattern forming as I'm recording this. So we have not taken out the prior day low, and we have not taken out the prior day high. We're trading within the prior day range. So that's an inside day pattern that is forming, and we're going to test how that plays out going into the close. So let me set this up. I am going to do this a little bit differently than the one I did this morning, just to try to get a few more samples into the test that I'm going to run. So I'm setting it up in all four instruments, and it'll be based off of entering at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Time as a long, exiting at the close of regular trading hours, which is at 4:15 p.m. Eastern Time. I'm going to use a gap up. I don't need to add within prior day range because that is implied by the test that I will be setting up. So the post-open filters is where I can add this inside day activity that is happening. So to do that, I just need to come in here and say that the intraday high is not greater than the prior day high, and the intraday low is not less than the prior day low. And then I'm going to come back into price patterns to add a little bit of context around yesterday's action. This morning we used closing in the bottom 10% of the daily range. I'm going to use close in the bottom 25% of the daily range for this one, just because that does add samples. And I looked at this earlier, and there's not a big difference between the closing in the bottom 10 versus closing in the bottom 25 on the test I'm about to show you. In the indicator section, I'm going to put below the 200. Earlier I put below the 10 and below the 200. Again, I looked at this already, and there wasn't a big difference between above and below the 10, so I'm just going to leave that out to grab more samples. And then I'm going to hit view results, and we will see the pattern. And this pattern is only applicable this afternoon for the ES. It will not be applicable for the NASDAQ, which did take out the prior day low, as did the YM. The Russell is within prior day range, so it looks like actually it would be applicable for the Russell as well. So now we've got the results. We've got close to 50 samples in most of these. 47 in the ES, NASDAQ 43, 46 in the YM, and 52 in the Russell. And the biases are leaning to the long side fairly strongly here in ES, close to 70%. That's typically hard to get much better than a 70% win rate whenever you have a decent amount of samples with a 1-to-1 ratio like we have with holding to the end of the day. So this pattern historically has favored the long side, the weakest one being the NASDAQ at 53%, the rest of them mid to upper 60s and 70% historically. So hope you found that interesting. Good luck. We will see you next week.